going to talk about your Act 5 TRIAC paragraph. And as it is the week before Christmas break, we decided that you only needed one paragraph. So let's read the prompt and see where we go. What does Macbeth's response to his wife's death reveal about their relationship and his state of mind? Include at least one quote from Macbeth to support your answer. Insert quote correctly with the act, scene, and line numbers in parentheses. So, strangely enough, Mrs. Dufresne and I actually disagree a little bit on this one, which benefits you guys because then you get to see like both sides of it. So I like to look at the original text, and this is why I disagree a little bit. So the original text.
We're going to read both.
Yeah. So the one we just read said, she would have died, the queen is dead, my lord. She would have died later anyway. That news was bound to come someday. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. The days creep slowly along until the end of time, and every day that's already happened is taking fools that much closer to their death. Out, brief candle. Life is nothing more than an illusion. It's like a poor actor who stressed and worries for his hour on the stage and then is never heard from again. Life is a story told by an idiot, full of noise and emotional disturbance, but devoid of meaning. Right? So it's kind of like, meh, life doesn't matter anyway. Or, the original text, she should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard of no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So when I read the original, I think of Macbeth as saying, like, no, now is not the time for my queen to die. She should have died later. She should have died after this battle, right? There would have been a time for such a word. There would have been time for me to grieve my wife's death if she had died after this battle. And now he's, like, really sinking into how miserable life has become for him. He's already started that a little bit before. He's talking about, I don't have any of the good things that you're supposed to have with old age. I've got people stabbing me in the back, left and right. But here he's like, tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. And it's like this just stretches on forever. And life is meaningless. There is no point.
I think that, so she disagrees with the modern translation. And I think that his previous statements in Act 3, where he says that I only care about myself, I'm only worried about Macbeth at this point, support this interpretation that she would have just died later anyway. This news was bound to come eventually. Tomorrow, the days just creep along until the end of time. Life is just a bad joke told by a fool, And so this kind of detached reality, like detachment from reality, detachment from his wife. I think that this interpretation is more supported because he's already started to keep secrets from his wife. He doesn't really care about her well-being so much anymore. So he's not in a good place, mentally, emotionally. He's become very paranoid. Like he's isolating himself. He's killing the people in his immediate circle. I mean, she's really the only one that he hasn't tried to kill. So she should be happy about that, I guess. So I think that the translated interpretation that she was just going to die anyway. So meh, like he's not happy that she's dead. He's just not appropriately saddened that she's dead. Like if someone were to bring me news that my spouse was dead, I would be like just a freaking mess, And so he's just kind of like, that sucks. That would have happened eventually anyway. So yeah, life sucks, Whereas Miss Howard is like, oh, I wish this would have happened tomorrow, So
either way, he's not like super supportive. I think it's still, even in my interpretation, it shocks him a little bit, but, he's seeing how dreadful life is now.
I do think it's interesting that he, there's like a little bit of this like candle reference. He kind of compares like the quickness of life ending to kind of, how quickly you can blow out a candle, just out candle, And I think this is sometimes a life as like being like a candle is kind of a metaphor that you hear in general. And it's interesting because Lady Macbeth insisted that she always have a candle at her bedside, you know? And so you can kind of harken back to that a little bit. You know, this candle goes out, Lady Macbeth's life goes out, if you will. Later on, we find out that she has completed suicide, or at least that's how they believe that she has died. And the doctor kind of alluded to this fear that she may attempt to complete suicide because he said, don't let her have anything dangerous around her. He could tell that she was feeling really upset and tormented, and he wanted the gentlewoman to just keep like a constant watch on her. So it seemed like Macbeth maybe knew that she was very disturbed and that something was coming because, you know, when he realized that the doctor wasn't going to help her. So that may also play into this idea that he kind of knew something not so good was coming when the doctor was like, meh, can't help her. So, yeah. But anyways, when you respond to this, just make sure that you, whichever way, however you feel, like whatever you think about his response, make sure that you find at least one quote that supports your answer, and make sure you lead into your quote in a way that makes sense or lead out of your quote in a way that makes sense. Most of you have been doing a really good job with this, but I have had a few examples where it's just like quote, you know? And so you can't say something like, you know, Macbeth's response to Lady Macbeth's death was not appropriate, and then just drop a quote and then keep going. Like, that's better than not using a quote, but it's important for you to say, he shows this by blah, 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 blah. Or one example of this is blah, 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 blah. You know, like you need to have some kind of transitional phrase that helps kind of ease into the quote. That way it's not so jarring.
One of the techniques that I use when I'm doing it is I write my topic sentence, I write my restriction, then I find my quote, and then I go back and try to connect the two. And I really use it as a transition as opposed to, okay, what's my next sentence going to be? And I find the quote first and then do the transition. Likewise, you never want to start a paragraph with a quote and you never want to end a paragraph with a quote because that means that you haven't supported it on either end. So after your quote, you definitely need to make sure, well, she's disagreeing with me on that, but she'll tell me why here in a minute. After your quotation, make sure you include the analysis. Why did you use that quotation? What does that quotation show? How does it support your topic sentence? And then finish it up with a conclusion.
I mean, there's always like one exception. The one exception to that is you can start your first intro paragraph with a quote if it's your attention getter. Okay. I don't want you to be like, oh, Mrs. Howard said I can never do this ever again. And then you have us for English 3, and then we're like, all right, go ahead and do it. So there's like one teeny tiny exception. You can use it as an attention getter if it's like a shocking fact or statistic. But the rest of the time, if you're dropping a quote in, you got to explain why. Never end with a quote. So, yeah. All right. So this is the last one of these that we're going to do because this is Act 5, and Act 5 is the end of the play. So round of applause for you. You finished Macbeth during distance learning. Yay. And now it's winter break for you after you turn this in because this is your last assignment. So I hope that you have a super awesome, amazing 2 weeks off, and we'll catch up with you.
Enjoy, spend time with the people you love.
Stay healthy. Wash your hands. Like Lady Macbeth, wash your hands. Out. Germs. Wash your hands until you can't wash them anymore, except yours aren't covered in blood. They're covered in germies. And we will see you. Hopefully they're not covered in blood, right? We will see you hopefully on January 4th, one way or another. So, bye guys.